Hello everyone, welcome to another webinar hosted by LitExtension, the shopping cart migration expert. And a little bit about myself. I'm Kaylee, social media executive at LitExtension, and today I will be your host. Hope that we'll have a good time together today. For newcomers, we have a monthly webinar series on our Facebook page. We have collabed with so many experts in the industry before, and this time we will have a webinar with Astra Security. The speaker is gonna be here in a few minutes, so while waiting for others to join, let's go through some information about LitExtension very quickly. Let me share my screen for you guys. Okay, so LitExtension is a leading company to provide the ultimate shopping cart migration service. Merchants can seamlessly transfer important data like products, customer orders from one e-commerce platform to a more robust one without leaving any interruption to their current business. And here's what our website litextension.com looks like, as you can see. So, what is special about LitExtension service? During the migration process, we ensure no downtime of your website and no interruption of your running business. You can still receive new orders and or add new products and so on. You can migrate almost everything from products, order to other entities like blogs, SEO URLs, or subscription data. And currently, we are supporting migration for over 120 shopping carts, even custom websites. With 24/7 dedicated support, you can contact us anytime from anywhere. And last but not least, LitExtension is trusted by many big brands. We are proud to be official partners with industry-leading brands like Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, and so many more. And together, we have been working on creating innovative solutions for our mutual clients' benefits. And we also present on social media, including Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. An extra bonus for everyone joining the webinar today, we are giving out our ebook about 10 psychological hacks that make your visitor buy and spend more. Just simply like or follow our Facebook page to receive the ebook for free. And we will leave the link to our Facebook page in the comment section down below. For more information, you can contact us via live chat on our website, litextension.com, or via email contact@litextension.com. So for this month, we are back with a brand new webinar about cybersecurity. Looks like this topic is quite hot lately, right? And so because many people have asked us to host a webinar discussing cybersecurity topics, so here we are hosting the webinar Cybersecurity, Protect Your Website from Hacks and Attacks. I can already see a few people coming. So hello, everyone. Please introduce a little bit about yourself in the comment section below so that we can get to know each other while waiting for others to come. Hi, Ming Anh. Nice to meet you, Jamie. How are you guys doing? Hello, Joseph and Ethan. So while waiting for others to join, if you have any questions for us about today's webinar topic, please type them in the comment section down below. You may send in your questions at any time during the webinar, and we will bring them up to address at the end. Okay, so I think we are good to go. Let's start today's webinar. Today, we are discussing all about cybersecurity, including reason your website got hacked, demystifying hackers' activity on your website, and how to keep WordPress security rock solid. And this time, we are honored to have with us Mr. Ankit, security evangelist from Astra Security, to join and share his experience and expertise in the industry. Q&A section at the end of the webinar so that Ankit can answer all of your questions. So please stay until the end and don't forget to drop some questions for us in the comment section down below. All right, without further ado, let's meet our speaker, Ankit Pahuja. Hello, Ankit. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can. Thank you, Kelly, first of all, for such wise introduction. So I just love that. And hi, everyone. my name is Ankit. I'm a software engineer turned security evangelist, and now I secure websites and e-commerce stores for food because I believe hungry security researchers are the best. So from helping people identify how they're attacked using phishing websites to helping businesses find critical vulnerabilities like remote code injection, SQL injection, broken access control, sensitive data leaks, spamming, and I mean, literally that is all I do day in and day out.
Excellent. Thank you, Ankit, for that introduction. I think we can start the discussion now, and I'm going to hand over the stage to you.
Perfect. Thank you. So first things first, I'll quickly discuss the agenda that I have for discussion today. So I'll talk about firstly what's quirky within the cybersecurity industry. Second, why would anyone hack your website or an e-commerce store? Then I'll demystify hackers' activity on a website, and then I'll move to WordPress. Okay, so as most of you demanded that WordPress is something that we should cover in the webinar, and also it makes logical sense because WordPress powers almost 40% of the websites, right? Then we'll talk about how would anyone hack your WordPress site, what are the major security attacks in WordPress space, and how to keep WordPress security rock solid. So quickly moving to the first section of our agenda, and I'll discuss what's quirky within the cybersecurity industry, basically what's going on and how bad it could be for your business, along with some alarming facts that are very relevant today.
Okay, so do you have any interesting statistic or facts about cybersecurity to share with the audience?
Yes, Kelly, exactly. That's what the next sections I've planned likewise. So I do have some interesting statistics, and even I'll share how easy it is for hackers these days. Okay, so let me start with the most alarming facts around the cybersecurity industry. So first being that every 39 seconds there's a hacker who's trying to hack a business. And second, 43% of cybersecurity attacks that take place are targeting small and medium businesses. And trust me, hackers are smart here because there are very few businesses in this category who takes digital security very seriously. Okay. So third fact is about the news that that is something that we all relate to in times of COVID-19, that approximately 9.7 million healthcare records were compromised in September 2020 alone. I mean, that's huge. So fourth fact is about the amount of money that is expected to be spent globally on securing businesses in 2021. And guys, this number is huge because it's $6 trillion, which is much more than the financial budgets of many countries combined. So fifth fact is about the stupidity and ignorance of businesses, where more than 77% of organizations do not even have a cybersecurity incident response plan. And some companies think that it's just only about cybersecurity insurance plans. No, it's much, much more than that. Sixth fact is about the most daunting situation for any business or for all of us. That is a situation of a data breach. To your surprise, most companies take nearly 6 months to even detect a data breach. Seventh is about a hacker's state of being at unrest. When during COVID-19, everything came to an halt, things slowed down, but since COVID-19, there's a 300% increase in reported cyber crimes today. So, now what I'll do, rather I'll be making few strong statements rapidly and support with a menu card right from the hacker's paradise. And I won't be wrong if I say the cost of committing a cyber crime is incredibly low. I won't be wrong if I say in data breaches reports that I evaluate, I feel ashamed on seeing passwords being, because they are very close to dictionary words. So the passwords that I detect in the reports that I evaluate, the passwords are close to dictionary words, and these are very easy to hack. I won't be wrong if I say attackers don't see what size is a business. Won't be wrong if I say only IT department is not responsive for the hacked situation. And just saying or just staying compliant to industry regulations is not enough, and you need to have security implications in place. I won't be wrong if I say security solutions are not alone just enough to keep businesses safe. And I won't be wrong if I say, you don't really know if you're currently hacked. I mean, do you? Because you don't have security implications in place. I say this, if you don't have proactive, security implications right now, there will be a situation in business where you will look for incident response. On the other hand, let's get into hackers paradise and see how easy their operations are getting and how easy it's becoming to hack. So I'll quickly read these statistics out loud for you so you would know how cheap it is to conduct an attack which burns finances to recover from a data breach. So a DDoS attack costs $38 per hour to launch, whereas an attack, for companies it would cost $40,000 per hour for being a victim, right? So this is exactly the ratio, of the value that is spent in hack is much, much, much lower than what it will cost to businesses in a hack situation. And these are the facts in front of you, that cyber attacks cost companies around $7.7 billion per year. In US alone, the US loses 500,000 jobs to cyber attacks every year. So these are really daunting facts. Let's move to another agenda and talk about why would anyone hack your website or an e-commerce store.
Okay, Ankit, before you start talking about why would anyone hack, would you like to share an interesting story for any of the hacks you have performed that you can possibly recall right now?
Yeah. So one of the hacks that I remember right now is from my graduation school, where I, along with students of my batch, so there was actually a competition where we were participating in a bug bounty program, and we were to exploit the university's tech infrastructure for good. I mean, they wanted to safeguard it, so there's a bug bounty program they were running, so that students could actually exploit and get a reward instead. So one of the vulnerabilities that I remember and I submitted in that program was after getting access to the gym's camera. And the most funny thing about that incident is, like, once I literally troubled a friend of mine. I called him when he was exercising in the gym and told him that 15 push-ups aren't just enough for good shape. You should do more. So this is the advisory I was giving him after watching him on the camera. So he was on his second repetition, the exercise. Obviously, he was counting the number of push-ups he was doing. So he got baffled. He started looking for me in the gym. So yeah, I mean, he was wondering how I could, tell him the exact count of the numbers where I was not even around. So well, that was the day, and it's today. So with the same skill, I'm just trying to help businesses. So yeah, that is one funny yet interesting stories I had to share. So well, let's just move back to the discussion, and let me give you reasons of why would anyone hack someone's website. So the very first reason is SEO hijacking. Okay, so everyone loves Google because it sends us a lot of organic traffic, which eventually brings us sales. If I was to tell you that a bad guy would insert spam characters and meta information for each of your index pages in Google, and your website in search results starts to look something like this, as you see in the image. So these are Japanese characters in the SEO meta information for this site. Hackers can choose to insert any unknown or spam characters that are not understood by your visitors or customers. So with this hack situation, not only businesses lose their traffic and sales, but it blackens the store's brand image, and eventually, visitors and customers lose their trust in the brand. Because what if you type in something and you get to see Japanese spam characters? So somebody who doesn't necessarily like your business numbers, or and he knows that inbound marketing is a game where SEO being very, very, very important these days, would essentially do this to your site. So other reasons why would anyone hack your site are as follows. So other could be monetary benefit. So hacker sends emails asking for ransom, and in turn they will give you information about the vulnerability in your infrastructure. Then it could be hacktivism and boredom. I think this reason is the most dangerous compared to all others that I mentioned, because someone doing this out of boredom or just because he likes to hack, then it might be the case that he'll never stop and probably he's after your business. Other reason could be to infect your website visitors. So a hacker would do this to steal your visitor session information, cookie information, because of some vulnerability on your website. And the last reason I can think of is cryptojacking. So the reason shall comply with the website owners of high traffic. A hacker necessarily inserts malware on your site that tries to mine cryptocurrency from your visitor's computational engine. For whatever time a visitor spends on your site, a hacker mines cryptocurrency using your visitor's computational engine. And you and I both know, I mean, cryptocurrency is hot these days. So that exactly is what we are talking about. So uh, in this section of our conversation, uh, that is demystifying hackers activity, I'll walk you through the entire journey of an attacker on your website by exactly showing what he does and which areas he's going to attack on your website. So hackers activity is broadly categorized in a three-step process. So the first is reconnaissance, where they do all the information gathering. Second is scanning, is where they scan through your entire infrastructure to find loopholes. And third is to access or exploit. And it is where they hack or keep your stores compromised. Okay. It's just to maintain access to the website. So I have a hacker's process to show where I'll discuss this all step by step. So I'm sure you are all wondering, like this lady is this little intense? Well, yeah, that exactly is. So talking about the process, reconnaissance is the first phase when a hacker tries to gather all possible information about your infrastructure. So when he tries to collect information about your business, then he'll look for your server technology and their versions, your store technology and different frameworks. He'll find all extensions, plugins and the versions, the vulnerabilities that you use. Then he'll find key people in your business, either a developer or someone whom he could attack via social engineering. Then there's active and passive reconnaissance. So active reconnaissance is when the bad guy, directly interacts with the target, and target here could be either your server, your plugins, or all things that I discussed just now. Then passive reconnaissance is when he gathers information without interacting with the target directly, but he would find information using social signals, forums, community groups, and more. And second phase in the hacker's journey is scanning. He shall look for ports that are open on your server, check for different services that are running in the server, check which server technology you're using, either it be Nginx or Apache. Then what versions are you on? Then he might check what plugins you're using and the versions, and if they're publicly listed vulnerable, and if there are publicly listed vulnerabilities for any of your server technology, open ports, or your WordPress plugins, with all these listed vulnerabilities, he'll start to exploit them, which is phase 3 in hacker's process. So in phase 3, a hacker's claim to get into your system. First, he'll try to gain access to your WordPress site. Then he'll exploit using vulnerability payloads for all the vulnerabilities he has collected in the second phase of hacking. A hacker's aim is to keep your site compromised even if you have removed the malware or fixed the vulnerability. For that, he would insert a backdoor on your infrastructure, which could either be Trojans, rootkits, false files managers, or any other malicious files. One thing that developers usually can do is to look at the log files to identify hackers' activity in case of a hack incident. But trust me, guys, some hackers are really smart, where they erase all the traces and even delete, log files to hide their presence. Whoa, I mean, that entirely looked like a comprehensive process. I mean, and it somehow looked that hackers got their science right. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, the hackers process and how do actually they interact with the website. Okay, so for the next part of the webinar, I'll talk about WordPress, as today 40% of the websites in the world are using WordPress, and which also makes it a perfect topic for a security webinar. And also, most of you wanted me to speak on WordPress. So in this section of our conversation, I'll talk about how would anyone hack a WordPress website. Okay, so we have seen device, we have seen the cyber security facts. Now we'll look at how would anyone hack a WordPress site. So a hacker necessarily starts with the very first step, that is reconnaissance, where his very first goal is to find out what WordPress version you're using, whether your website uses outdated plugins or not, and further he looks for usernames of administrators, editors, authors, and anyone who uses WordPress or gets access to WP admin. For that, he'll use tools like WP Scan, which is an open source tool that scans for a WordPress site for possible vulnerabilities. Yes, there's literally a tool for that. Okay. Also, some learned hackers who basically understand systems and software as well, they're able to do reconnaissance using source code also. So one classic example is what I have shown in the image below. Because of a not so security conscious theme or plugin company or outdated WP version, in one of the websites, WordPress version is displayed in the source code. Okay. So in this case, it is 4.8.1. And this is literally a 4 days old image. Okay. So currently the latest version is 5.7ish. Okay. And using a version that's 4.8 is not secure at all. Okay, so let's just do this thing. Why don't you simply Google WordPress 4.8.1 version vulnerabilities, or for subsequent versions, you will find more than a dozen vulnerabilities. Therefore, I suggest all the attendees today to kindly check their WP versions and update to a latest version and priority to attain, again, rock solid security for your WordPress site. That is why you're here watching this webinar. Okay, so the next step in hacker's journey is to concretely find usernames of key people who are managing the website. So that would essentially be a step in how would anyone hack a WordPress site. So two very simple yet effective ways is one by author archives. So by simply enumerating authors by 1, 2, 3, you will be able to find out usernames in output. Again, this might not work in the latest versions of WordPress, but it is a very simple way to find usernames in WordPress sites for sites that are still using older versions. Trust me, there are many websites until today who are running WordPress instances on previous versions because of a lot of other reasons. Next way is by WordPress native JSON REST API. Just by appending the code that you see on the slide slash wp-json slash wp slash v2 slash users to a domain, you'll be able to list all users with their usernames on a WP instance. Yes, I mean, you heard me right. For a website that has JSON REST API enabled because they're using it or because they have no idea about it and has no validation on who can access it, all their WordPress usernames can be leaked, as you see in the image below. So there's this very famous fitness model named Amanda Cerny. She or her team uses WordPress for hosting a website. They had this WP JSON turned on like many other thousands of the other WordPress sites. Okay, so before I go ahead, I want to give a disclaimer here. So this webinar is just for educational purposes, because if by learning how would anyone hack a WordPress site, if you literally go out and start practicing on real sites without they allowing you to find vulnerabilities on their site, it's like attacking someone, and this could also lead you to a legal drama. Okay, so be watchful of that. So it was a disclaimer from my side. So in those scenarios, nor me nor Cali could really help you. So I say this because in some time you would exactly know what a hacker does next, and you would know how he behaves on your site. Okay, so moving on to what does a hacker now know? So a hacker now knows your WordPress version. He knows which theme you're actually using. He knows uh, the usernames of admin by username enumeration that we saw. Then he knows which plugins you use or on your website and the versions. You or a hacker already knows a lot of things. Do you know what all this mean? There's a website called WordPress 1DB, WP 1DB. You can just Google through it, which basically is a WordPress vulnerability database where you could see a list of vulnerabilities for a particular theme or plugin, or even in WordPress core. So, and it is also updated every day. Like every day you could see, WordPress vulnerabilities, new WordPress vulnerabilities coming in. So for someone who knows which plugin or theme you're using and he finds a vulnerability on either of these on the vulnerability database, do you now understand what's actually happening? By these two things I just discussed, if there's an intersection for the two, he knows vulnerabilities in your website. And that's exactly what he's looking for. Okay, so how many of you knew all this? I ask this because it's like general knowledge in the hacking community. Okay, so in the comment section, just please feel free to literally write down, I did know, if you knew all what we have discussed until now, or I didn't know, if it wasn't really something that you didn't know, and just let us know. It will really boost our efforts. Okay, so far we have seen how would anyone hack a WordPress site. In this section of our conversation, I'll talk about 3 most frequent security attacks that we have seen in 2021 on WordPress sites. This is going to be amazing. So the first one is WordPress redirection hack. I'll literally show you a POC of it, proof of concept of how it's happening. I'm sure most of you have already witnessed it. You must not have just realized it, but you must have witnessed it. Second is the plugin and theme vulnerabilities. Then not so known, but so common Japanese keyword hack that we talked in the beginning. And I'll discuss all these attacks with their symptoms wherever applicable. Also, because of the GIF that you see, okay, I want to ask you, how many of you did not know at least one of the hacks you see on the screen right now? Well, again, feel free to write in the comment section, okay? So when a WordPress site is infected with malware and your site starts to redirect your visitors and customers to unknown and malicious sites, these could be Viagra stores, pharma stores, porn sites, or simply malicious marketing pages and other questionable sites. So here I have a small demo of this hack. This happened to a site where everyone on visiting this site was redirected to a malicious site. As you would see in the video, I'll just play the video for you. So as and when the username or the website domain is entered in the video, you would see the website opens up, but it is redirected to a page like this. It could be possible a hacker behind the scenes is mining cryptocurrency out of it. Okay. It could also lead to malicious marketing pages. So this is what exactly happens in WordPress redirection hack. Okay. So the next POC would be, okay. So moving over to website redirection symptoms. So before we talk of next hack, let's just look at the symptoms of this hack. You must be thinking that the only symptom could be of a website redirection, right? Yes, you're correct. But I'll dig a little deeper and let you know where in your site you can see malicious redirection symptoms. So it's not always you just type in a website and you get redirected. Okay, so hackers are smart. I've already mentioned a few times now. So website redirects, one, it's on a page view. So simple is on the page view. You enter a website, it redirects. Next, on a button click or image CTAs. So these will be important call to actions on your website, either on product pages or landing pages. And when a user clicks on it, he gets redirected to a malicious site. Not just this, a hacker can put malicious redirects only on organic traffic. That too for unique clicks or even unique sessions. This makes it difficult, even more difficult, in fact, for you as a website owner to identify redirection hacks. So for referral traffic, your website does not redirect. Only for organic traffic, it will redirect. So all the visitors who comes through Google gets redirected to a malicious site. Next is very rare. And I found it recently in the previous security audit that I was involved in. So there were redirections only on the FAQ section on the product pages on a WooCommerce store. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say, some hackers are damn smart, but we are on a mission to, again, make business owners the smartest. And, that's why we both are on a webinar today like this. I mean, on a security webinar today. So moving on to plugins in WordPress. So I know plugins make the entire website development, WordPress development process so easy, as you can simply, pick up third-party tools, solutions, plugins, and use as is on your website. That makes life a lot easier, right? I know that. But is the overall infrastructure safe? After installing a lot of plugins, third-party tools, is it safe? Well, the answer is no. Let's look at a vulnerability in one of a pop-up plugin, and let's just realize what happened because of using a third-party tool. Okay, so here's this pop-up plugin. Okay, so down below you see a security tool called Burp Suite. So whenever a hacker is entering his email here to add as a subscriber, he stops the request, he intercepts it, he changes the user from a subscriber to administrator. And once he passes this request, you would see in the admin dashboard, a user is added as an administrator and not as a subscriber. And that is why, that is because of a vulnerability in a pop-up plugin. So that is how devastating it could get. Cool. So another is the WordPress database reset plugin. So this vulnerability has been fixed in the plugin. So we are just sharing of how vulnerabilities could exist even in a plugin that does server-side work. So the last plugin that you saw did only client-side work. This also does a server-side work. Let me just play the video and explain. So it's from a popular plugin, WP database reset plugin. So you would see all the users here. Okay. So some are subscribers, some are contributors, some are author, and one is administrator. So I've logged out. I would register a new user with the name attacker with the email attacker@attacker.com. Okay. So on registering, I would register. He would be registered as a subscriber at the moment. So I'm just logging in as a subscriber. You would see nothing in WP admin as intended, right? Now, with a little fix in the URL, as you would see in the video, I just changed the URL because I knew of an existing vulnerability. Now, when I log in, I'll get WP admin access. So literally, I got administrator access because of a vulnerability. Well, that's why WordPress ecosystem being too large, but yet not too secure because of plugins and themes majorly, and also because of bad practices of website management.
So do you have any pro tips, like expert tips, to help our audience better secure their WordPress website?
That's correct, Kelly. That's exactly what I'll do. So after seeing all the whys and hows and different security attacks, so in this section, the next section, I will talk about the best security practices as we suggest them to all the WordPress developers or website owners. Okay, so from a 3-level security framework, few are our suggestions for basic security, which helps in making your website security rock solid. So level 1 is security practices, and these security practices are one, it's always advised to change /admin URL to something that is not easily found and which is not easy to guess, so that hackers can't really guess your admin URL. Second is to enforce two-step verification in your login process. I think it should be at least must for people in your team and who are higher in your role-based access control table. Third is to ensure that you have a strong password policy for both your admin accounts and visitor accounts and enforce usage of strong passwords. Then next is to have a feature around limiting login attempts on a WordPress site. It is basically the number of times you can enter a wrong password, else the account gets blocked for some time. Next is to implement CAPTCHA. Okay, so on all kinds of forms on your site, and this is highly advised as it stops spam activity and save resources. Next is to set correct WP file permissions. As you see a table on the screen, you should give relevant file permissions to these folders and files. These are again really important. If you have incorrect permissions, you are letting hackers in your system. Correct. So moving a little away from our 3-level security framework, as I want to give you a little more. Okay. So, and these are the best security practices you should adopt in order to attain rock solid security for your WordPress site. First, you need to update missing security patches as and when a security patch is rolled out publicly. You can check for missing security patches outright, right? So WordPress, there are a lot of places where you can check for patches or plugin vulnerabilities and you can update accordingly. So I say this all the time, that WordPress is good, and with all the available plugins, it makes WordPress a popular choice for businesses today. But sadly, plugins make the entire ecosystem vulnerable. With this, I suggest that you should use a secure WordPress plugins. Another great security practice that you should adopt is to block irrelevant traffic. Okay, one is to disable XML RPC if it's not being used. Other is to block irrelevant traffic. Suppose you have your business in the US and you ship only in the US, and then why would you want to entertain traffic from China, right? So using IP blacklisting is your best bet. Not only it will reduce resource consumption, but it will also eradicate bad bots activity on your site. So there are another set of attacks that are real-time attacks like DDoS. So for that, I would suggest you to use a web application firewall to implement 24/7 application layer security, which comes as a web application firewall that protects your system from real-time attacks. And sadly, there cannot be alternatives to a WAF in case of real-time attacks. Okay. I also advise you to use a WP hardening plugin to automatically enforce L1 security practices I discussed in the previous slide. So just by installing a plugin WP hardening, all the security practices, L1 security practices that I discussed will be in place. And one of the best advice that I would give you today is to become security conscious. Okay. If you want to do business in 2021 and beyond, you'll have to become security conscious, as hackers are on a rise. Okay. So somehow you are already security conscious because you managed to join a webinar on WordPress security, website security, cyber security, and congratulations on that. Cool. So I have to ask you all, how many of you think there's a lot to do when it comes to securing your websites? Feel free to write in comments. I know some of you would be fine. Okay, so I knew all this stuff. Most of you would be like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. And that's a lot of stuff I was missing on, right? So if you think it's too tough and unsure if you can stand still against the dynamic security attacks that then you should learn about Astra security, because we have everything you need to manage your security in one place. So with Astra security, you can sleep sound knowing that your website is safe from hackers, bad bots, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, spamming, and 100 other types of attacks. For those who take security seriously and are looking for a security solution proactively, feel free to check out getastra.com. And this is the only shameless plug I'll do apart from wearing this t-shirt. Okay, so with this, I'll bring your conversation to an end. And in case you have any questions around cybersecurity, website security, or absolutely anything, feel free to reach out to me. Either me or someone from my team will get in touch and will certainly reply to you.
Wow, thank you so much for such detailed information about cybersecurity and WordPress security in specific. I bet that our audience have learned a lot from you today. And now let's move on to our last part, Q&A. And I can see here that there are many questions from you guys. I will pick some of them to read out and address right now. Okay, so the first question is, hey Ankit, Joy from the US. I love the webinar. Thank you so much. And actually, I am new to WordPress and security. Do you have a handy checklist or document that I can use?
Yeah. So hey Joy, I hope you're doing good, man. First of all, okay. So and thank you for the appreciation. So about a checklist, yes, we do have a WordPress tailored checklist. For that, you can just Google for Get Astra WordPress checklist, and you would find in the top results. Or rather, since you mentioned you just started out with WordPress security, I can suggest you a robust resource. If you want to check, do check for WordPress security course, Get Astra. It's a simple security course, and just a Google search will do here. And I can assure that it will be helpful because it's already taken by over 15,000 WordPress professionals, and above all, it's a free course. So just spend time there and you'll be through with WordPress security.
Excellent. So, and here are the next questions. Does Astra also do security audit or AWS VA PT for businesses? If yes, will you work
Hmm.
with our developer in patching the vulnerabilities that you will find?
Yeah. So yes, we do both the security audits of all kinds for web applications and server security audit. As you mentioned, AWS VAPT for business. Yes, we do that. Also, the second part was do you will you work with our developer? So the answer is yes, because that's one of our USPs. So that we do assist your developers in fixing the vulnerabilities reported. So your developer can comment under each vulnerability if they have any questions regarding the fixation process, and all this happen uh, in our vulnerability management dashboard. We so that is something we provide once you subscribe to the service.
Okay. Here's another question, and it is: what is a strong buzzword according to you?
Okay, so that's a very subjective question. Okay, so policies is something that differs from businesses to businesses. So a straightforward answer from the consumer side. I mean, if you're security conscious and you're willing to keep a strong password, straightforward answer would be to keep a 14 characters long at least password with numbers, alphabets, and consider adding three special characters like dollar sign, curly braces, or basically special characters so that it is not easy to guess passwords and hackers don't run simple dictionary attacks on on the website using just dictionary words. So and your account gets compromised. So I think that must do for keeping a secure password.
Great. I think it's very great. I may consider changing my password after listening to you. So, since we are running out of time, I will pick the last questions. Let's see. Okay. The last question will be: what are the best security standards for website security?
Okay, so in particular to website security, I would suggest you to just look for OWASP top 10. It's OWASP top 10 and SANS 25, SANS 25. When you are exactly assessing your website for security. So these are the two organizations that roll out a lot of vulnerabilities around web security, and they have their open source projects. So do read about these two, and you'll be good for your website security endeavors.
Excellent. So thank you, Ankit, for your answers. And it is a shame that we have run out of our time. Ankit and I cannot answer all of your questions during the live stream, but don't worry, we will answer all of them later right in the comment box. So if you have any question, you can still type in your question even after the live stream. And again, thank you, Ankit, for so much for having spent your time to join us today. And do you want to say anything to our audience before we end?
Okay, I think I've already said enough, but okay, so if you give me a room for another minute, I would. Okay, so well, as parting thoughts, I would just say one quote that I absolutely love around security, and I can recall that because that's from Robert, who's former director of FBI, and he says that there are only two type of companies. Okay, first, those who know that they have been hacked, and second, those who don't know yet. These are really strong words. We all know security is more important today than ever. So I believe website security again should be one of the important things in a checklist that a business owner should definitely have.
Great. And last but not least, thanks to all the audience today. Hope you have a great time with us. And if you have any recommendation for us regarding webinar topics, don't hesitate to comment down below. And again, thank you, Ankit, and thanks everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Ankit.